So you know that moment of the year when you hear the same song again?
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
And you're like, okay, that's officially happening. Christmas is here. So today we're filming from our home while preparing for the Christmas celebration, and we wanted to do something simple but meaningful.
We are sharing 5 Camino acts you can do during the holidays. Little things you can practice back home that keep you walking even if you're not on the Camino. It doesn't matter if you already walked Camino 1,000 times or it's one day I'll do a Camino enthusiast. This video is for you.
Let's bring a little Camino magic into everyday life, starting right now. Happy days. So the act number 1 is the most Camino thing ever. Share it in the moment. On the Camino you learn pretty fast. You don't need a lot, but you need each other. And the magic is usually not in the big, difficult moments. It's in the tiny stuff, a coffee, a fruit, a directions, a chair given with zero expectations. And I'll never forget this moment that it was hot, it was humid, and we were on the end of Camino San Salvador. And we were climbing another hill. It seems like the hill had a hill. And there was and we were just simply tired. It was on the end, and the mind kind of plays the game, because once you know you're in the end of the Camino or in the end of anything, you know your mind just gives up. It's like, oh, I have no strength anymore, right? It is a common feeling, no? And we were actually climbing, and we got to this building, to the strange looking building, like a school, but some kind of institution. And we just collapsed on the floor. We just collapsed. We were like, we not have strength anymore. And there was a person on the side, and he was like a gardening, and he looked at us and he was like, do you need some water? And we're like, no, we have. And he's like, let me bring you some water. I love those moments. Whenever you cannot do it anymore, there is someone's coming with the fresh water or lots of fresh fruit. We just got 2 bottles of water.
Cold water. So nice because it's been hot.
And in the bag full of
Fruits, goodies. I want our apricot. I've been wanting one.
And we carried on another 10 kilometers and we finished the Camino San Salvador. But what actually happened is that later on we figure out that building is a rehab center. So think about it, people in a place like that, not exactly living the best holiday life, and still someone had enough empathy to see exhausted strangers and give a simple gift. And that's the Camino. It's not about having loads to give, it's about noticing someone and giving something small anyway. So here's your Camino act for the Christmas week. Offer something small with no expectations. Hey, will you want a coffee? Do you want me to carry that? Or that's the snack, go ahead, whatever. And watch what is revealing in the other person and inside of you.
Act number 2 is pretty simple, but it's powerful. Talk to a stranger like a human. Because on the Camino, strangers don't stay strangers for long, and the smallest interaction can completely change your mood, your energy, even your whole day.
Oh yeah, agree.
And what's funny is that this exact thing we lose at home. At home we are efficient, we are busy, we say hi without looking, we pay, we leave. We treat people like steps in a checklist, like a transaction, but the Camino teaches something else. Human connection beats transaction.
Connection.
And I'm thinking of one moment on the Camino that I'll never forget. I was at a community meal and I was sitting next to 3 Italians, and one of them was Fabio. And we start talking about, really talking, like life, family, the stuff you normally keep hidden and don't say out loud. At some point I said something that I don't usually say out loud. And I said that my family doesn't accept me because of the way I live my life. And the conversation went on, we kept chatting about anything. And at some point later, Fabio looked at me and said, "You know, I don't think that your family doesn't accept you. They do. They just cannot admit it to you openly." And that really was a really simple sentence, but it hit something deep. It felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders. I could breathe again, and it made sense. It resonated. And that's the point, no? It's not about being the big Camino miracles with fireworks. Sometimes it's just one person giving you the exact message you need at the right moment. So here's the Camino act for this week. Pick one person a day, a neighbor, a cashier, someone in the elevator, a delivery person, and give them a real human moment. One hello, eye contact, a thank you, something that feels natural. Ask, how are you? Really? Listen for the answer. And you don't need to force it, not a full conversation, just a reminder that we are not machines passing each other. We are people.
So the act number 3 is the one the most people avoid, because it's the quiet one. But it might be the most powerful. Walk 10 minutes in silence. No headphones, no podcast, no music, just steps and breath. Because on the Camino you don't only walk through places, you walk through yourself. And when you remove that noise, something starts to happen. You begin to listen again, you listen to the body, you listen to the thoughts, listen to what you've been carrying. And that really reminds me this year, Camino from Lisbon to Porto, where I met only 6 people. And I remember I came to Lisbon full of energy, full of a will to do a lot, you know, talk to people, go to the albergues and be there, investigate the route and be a Camino instead of walk the Camino. But I didn't find anyone to talk to. You know, and if you know me, you know it's a big thing, you know. So the first day I met one person, but he just went his own way, and slowly but surely I was kind of getting more into Camino by getting into myself. Strange, right? Like a paradox. I was understanding myself better when I wasn't there with others, and maybe that's how I could actually do entire 700 kilometers of walking, because I had the time to reevaluate, to rephrase my priorities of this Camino and why I was actually walking. That's the real gift of silence. It doesn't fix your life in 10 minutes, but it creates the space, and sometimes space is exactly what you need. So here is the Camino act for this week. Take 10 minutes and walk with nothing. No podcast, no music, no scrolling, just steps and breath. And that's the whole point.
Act number 4 is the most emotional one, and maybe the most important. Thank someone who carried you this year, because at the end of the pilgrimage you don't remember the kilometers, the landscape, you remember the people who helped you keep going. And here's the thing, we receive help, but we rarely name it. We don't say it out loud, right? We don't send a message, we just move on, we forget about it. But the Camino spirit is this, notice support, say it. And I learned it in a pilgrimage in India 5 years ago. So I had just quit my job, I was searching for my life purpose, what to do with my life, my direction, and my mind was in the monkey mind mode, do you remember? Mm-hmm. One day I wanted to start one project, the day after I wanted to start a completely different one. And you can be walking in a beautiful different place all you want and you still feel stuck inside your own head. And then Ricky said something really simple. He looked at me and said, "Erika, promise me one thing. For 1 month, don't make any decisions. During this pilgrimage, no big decision, just walk. And we'll see afterwards what to do." And that gave me something I really needed in that moment, like presence. A few words, a reminder to breathe, to just walk without needing to solve my whole life in that month. It was small, right? But it changed everything. It took pressure off my chest and it made space inside of me. So here's the Camino act. Write a message to someone who carried you this year. One person, don't overthink it. Hey, I'm thinking about you. Thank you for being with me this year. You mattered more than you know. Send it. Because you generally don't know how much someone needs to hear those words, especially around Christmas.
You see, the act number 5 is lighten your pack. Every pilgrim learns this sooner or later. What you carry is what you feel. So before the end of this year, pick one thing that's been sitting unused in your life and turn it into the warmth for someone else. Because on the Camino, warmth isn't just temperature, it's care. A dry place, a heater, a layer, a blanket, and sometimes it's the difference between breaking and continuing. And I never forget this place that we encounter on the French way, Calzadilla de los Hermanillos, the place which is the detour of the main road just around Meseta.
Meseta!
Meseta! Just around the famous or infamous Meseta. And we decided to be even more Meseta mode. We went to the detour where nobody goes.
In fact, we were the only ones in the albergue.
And we were the only ones in albergue that day. The village was small, there was nothing to do, one little bar but opened quite late and a bit cold.
It was really cold at night, that day.
And I remember those two ladies, hospitaleros, they lit the fireplace and we sat there together for hours.
Yeah, we were chatting by the fireplace for hours until maybe 1 a.m., the four of us by the fireplace.
And this warmth not only of the fireplace, but also of their attention, but also of their time, but also their commitment and the devotion to what they do of being hospitaleros showed us something really important. So this is your Camino act for Christmas week. Be that warmth for someone else.
Pick one warm thing today, a jacket you don't wear, gloves, socks,
Blanket.
a blanket. Put it in a bag and give it away, or give 1 hour of your time, help someone who's overwhelmed, hug someone, check on someone who's alone, volunteer. Something practical, something real, something needed.
And here's the pilgrim secret. When you lighten your pack, you don't lose anything important. You make a space, and the space becomes someone else's warmth. So before we go, take a second and feel proud. If you walked this year, if you trained, if you healed, if you keep the dream alive, that counts.
And if you're closing the year heavy, you don't have to fix it tonight. Just take the next step. The Camino is patient. So here's our little pilgrim challenge to carry the magic into your real life.
For the next 7 days, take one walk a day, even 10 minutes, no headphones. Call it day 1, day 2. Let it be simple. And if you want, bring us into it. Comment where you're starting from, which Camino you're dreaming of. And yeah.
Merry Christmas, chicos!
And see you on the path. Buen camino.